Hello everyone. So today I'm just going to be showing you how two clanmates, a guy to Lotus and I, were able to beat the previous ODD world record set by the thnx on PC. And then I'll go over the frame synergies and their general build so that if you or your friends want to go really far in a defense, you'll have the knowledge to get you there. Okay, so here we are at wave 248 of the defense. We went to 250 in total waves, but just starting off with the frames that we were using, we had two Equinoxes. I was on one of the Equinoxes here, as you can see, and then we had a Frost and a Banshee. The Frost, his job was pretty straightforward. For the most part, he was just protecting the pod from ranged attacks, and he was also there for CC. So if enemies were starting to get too close, he could use his Avalanche, and he had the snow globes up because of the MOAs. Because the swarm MOAs and the mutalist MOAs, they can shoot projectiles from range, and when you're fighting level 4 or 5,000 enemies, they will do a lot of damage to the pod, if not one-shot it. So you kind of need a Frost there. Another alternative would be a Limbo, but Frost Snow Globe, he can have it up 24/7 as opposed to Cataclysm, where you're going to have to recast it, and just your luck, you might have the bubble go down, or the Cataclysm in that matter, as soon as a MOA shoots it. So then there you go, that's the end of your run. But he was also there, as I said, mainly for the Avalanche, for the CC. Our Frost wasn't using Ice Wave Impedance, but if you would like to use that, that's always a pretty good other option as far as CC is concerned with him. The main reason though, other than just protecting the pod, which is why you have Frost there, is for actually killing. So not many people know this, but when you cast Snow Globe on an enemy that's inside his Snow Globe radius, that enemy will take knockback. They'll get knocked outside the globe, and when they hit an object outside the globe, say a wall or a ledge or something of that nature, they'll take 50% of their total health. They'll just take it. So it's finisher damage, so it also ignores armor. We happen to be in fighting infested, so the armor thing wasn't a big deal, but if you were, say, fighting Grineer or something, then it's much faster to kill him via Snow Globe than it is with your weapons. As you can see right here, my Legion, even though I'm stacking Condition Overload, it's not doing all that much damage just to a charger. It's still taking me a couple seconds to kill them. But the next frame that we had there was Banshee. She has actually a great synergy with Frost, because when he freezes the enemies with Avalanche or Freeze or whatever he might be using, Banshee can then use Sonic Boom, and that also deals knockback damage, and it's also dealt as finisher, so she can kill really high level enemies really easily when they're frozen, which is like a little known thing about Sonic Boom. But in addition to that, she was mainly being used for her sonar, because at the end of the round, not only does the knockback damage deal finisher damage, in addition to that, it'll scale with sonar. So if you happen to hit enemy when they're getting knocked back on their sonar spot, they will essentially die immediately, because it's 50%. And then the Banshee was at, say, like is at 200% power strength. I believe that's just a 10 times multiplier on sonar. So you get 0.5 times 10, which is 5 times their total health. So they would die instantaneously. But Banshee was mainly there for sonar, just making the end of the rounds easier. So if we didn't want to waste our main with Equinox on the enemies, then you could use that. But to the last frames, the two Equinoxes, we had two of them, which is unusual for most Warframes, because most Warframes don't synergize with one another very well. So there's like almost no point in having two of them. But Equinox is one of the exceptions to this rule, where, as you can see right there, actually, I'll go over what just happened there. So as you can see, I released my main, and at the top right, you saw I had 2.19 E something. I essentially had 2.19 billion damage stored there, which happens to be above the damage cap, so I didn't actually do any damage at all to any of the enemies, because it's like an overflow value, and it doesn't actually physically show any damage, which is unfortunate. But the Equinox were just main trading back and forth. So Equinox, as soon as you deal damage to an enemy, it will take 0.7 or 70% of their total health, and then turn that into damage is once you kill them. So say one Equinox kills 3 enemies, and then the 0.7 damage is turned into 2.1, and then that's then shared back to the other Equinox, and they just keep going back and forth like so. So you can go really, really far with 2 Equinoxes until once you start killing enemies where their total health pool exceeds that of the damage cap, and then you start running into that problem where Equinox will no longer deal any damage to any enemies. But again, you don't really have to worry about that. That only just started happening at wave 250, and I don't think it would become a real issue until like wave 300 or 350 or so, because after wave 96, the enemy scaling switches from being exponential to linear, so they scale at the constant rate of 18 levels per wave after wave 96. And actually, there's a cool little formula that you can use to figure out the level of the enemies at whatever wave you happen to be fighting at. So the formula is enemy level is equal to current wave minus 96 times 18 plus the mission base level plus 1553. So you can essentially use that formula, and then you can figure out whatever enemy, whatever level they are at whatever wave. Before that, it's all in exponential, so you got to use calculus to do it, so I'm not going to go into that. And plus, who really cares at that point? Because you can just graph the levels at those earlier waves. Okay, so now I'm just going to go over the builds briefly. For Frost, I happen to be using max range, and then a lot of efficiency, as much efficiency as I could get, and then a little bit of duration. The duration, efficiency, and range are obviously the most important parts of the build. The one thing that people might question is why I'm running such a low power strength, and that's because the invulnerability period of Frost's Snow Globe is 4 seconds, and the damage cap for his globe, his cap, his health cap is 1 million. And the 1 million is not affected by power strength mods in any way. So even if you have 40 power strength, or let's say 349 power strength, you're gonna get to 1 million health, and then you can't go any further than that. And since you're in the mission for such a long period of time, since it's a long run, you have time to keep stacking up your globes. So there's no real reason to run a bunch of power strength on there. I mean, you can run Intensify if you want to, because then you hit the 1 million cap a little bit quicker, but as your globe health is going to scale with the waves as you keep going on it further and further, so there's not really a big need for it. For the next frame, which I will pick Banshee. The most important part of this is 3 things actually. It's the duration and the strength, and then you need to have resonance on there. Resonance essentially it's such a good augment mod, because it essentially recasts sonar in the spot that you kill an enemy on a sonar spot. So if you say kill 5 enemies right next to each other all on sonar hits, then it's like recasting sonar in that area 5 times over. But again, it only lasts for the remaining duration of the power, so it's not overpowered, but it's really good. So I'm just running transient. I have 200% power strength on there, and then 225 if you include growing power. But range isn't a big issue. Efficiency, I just run Xeneric on there, so 130 is fine. For Equinox, the most important bit about her is having as much range as you possibly can. My build is configuration C. Whoops. So here we have 70 power strength. Again, power strength, much like Frost, isn't really a big deal. I happen to be running Peaceful Provocation, so I do have a little bit extra power strength on there to give my teammates more of a buff, but power strength is a big deal. The thing that you want is as much range as you possibly can have, so that gives you more enemies in your radius, and whenever the other Equinox nukes, then you get all of that combined health, and then therefore into damage. So just efficiency, since MAME is a channeled ability, you want duration and efficiency on there. I got 175 efficiency and 133 duration. That's enough that you'll be able to keep your energy up, and then you got 250 range, and then you're all set. So then, as always, I would like to thank you for watching the video. Feel free to leave your comments down below if you have any questions or feedback, and I hope to see you in the next video.